right, I scoot down here. Rodney, you get out of the way. All right. Well, I did mention earlier, I don't remember if it was before stream or on stream, but I did mention that our bird of the day is from Africa.
Woo!
I've been doing some big birds lately, but I wanted to do a little bird. Nice, cute little bird. I was looking, what's a nice, cool bird? Oh, here's a whole type of bird that I haven't done before that I know about. And it's a cute little bird, and they are called bee eaters. In particular, the white-fronted bee eater.
Oh.
Look at them. Cute little fellers. Little pointy beaks. Now, it's kind of funny. They're called white-fronted, but, like, they have, like, a little bit of white on their face. But other than that, they're a very colorful bird.
Yeah, that's red-fronted.
Yeah, I know. Like, they got red, they got orange. That you see, here we have a male and a female. The biggest difference between them is the red on the throat is more vibrant in males. And that's pretty much the difference. Also, if you see one of them laying an egg, that's a female.
Fair enough.
Fuck those birds are destroying the bee population.
Oh.
Not so much. I gotta get more on that, but they're not the biggest problem with bees. But anyway, see this one you can really see the more white fronted. I guess that's why. But they are 8.5 to 9.3 inches long, with only a 4.3 to 4.8 wingspan. It's kind of funny. Like wingspans can go from like half of the length to like more than twice the length, and it kind of depends on the bird. It also has to do with like tail length. These guys actually got pretty long tails and pretty long beaks, because when they talk about length, it's from tip of beak to tip of tail when they're fully splayed out.
Gotcha.
So they're actually pretty little guys, but they got nice long tails. They only weigh 0.5 ounce to 1.3 ounces, pretty small. And, well, little small bird living 2 to 5 years. Yeah, that's pretty typical for little birds like this. For most small little birds, they can live to like 15 years, but it's a dangerous world out there for a little bird. A lot of predators, a lot of things that can hurt a little bird. So 2 to 5 years is kind of going to be your average. If it makes it like, it's always hard to say because it's like, what's the lifespan of a thing? Well, lifespan factors in infant mortality. And the greatest thing you can do to raise life expectancy is reduce infant mortality. So all little birds, that first year, it's a dangerous year. Once they get back, they're probably going to live about 5 years. So it's pretty good. Now, one thing that I was surprised is the order is not passerines. Passerines are, what most little songbirds that you would see would be considered passerines. These guys are kind of in their own order and called Coraciliformes. And yeah, they're kind of neat. They're like a little bit parrot-like, a little bit... I mean, look at that beak. That is a beak designed for hunting insects.
Oh, yeah.
As a insect hunting beak. And as you can see there, they are a sub-Saharan Africa species. So you're going to see them in all those countries down there, and Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe. I think most of the population is going to be in Angola and Zambia, but it's kind of hard to say. They're kind of spread out. But yeah, cool little area. So they probably live in some very beautiful places, both in savanna and in jungle.
Nice.
Yes.
Hopefully trees for them to be on so they don't get eaten.
They do love trees, but they also love earth and cliffs. Because these guys, they do their nesting in big colonies that are dug into like cliff sides and like steep rock that are like made of like clay and softer soil that they can dig through. And they literally like dig holes into it, and they make these giant like apartment complexes with many, many nests. And the entire flock of 100 to 200 birds is all going to share this one big nest. Isn't that cool?
That is what, like ants. Like it's like an ant not farm, but like a hill.
It is kind of like an anthill, yeah.
Whoa.
And here's one of the interesting things. So they reach sexual maturity at 1 year, and they're going to pick a mate, and then they mate for life, which is really cool. But that mating pair may have babies 1 year, but then they don't have babies next year. But in a year when they don't have babies, they help out other parents. So a couple might have 1 to 5 other birds that are adults that help them incubate, help them feed the babies, help watch over them. And this kind of thing actually gives them one of the lowest infant mortality rates of any small bird because, hey, guess what? It takes a village, community support, community aid. It works for all species.
I definitely thought you meant they were swinger birds. So I was like,
No, they're actually not swingers. They usually do find that the genetic father is the actual mate. There's actually a lot of birds that like sparrows, for instance. The father that takes care of the female while she's incubating and feeds the babies, about 80% of the time is not the genetic father of the babies.
Oh, wow, stepdads.
But there's probably another nest somewhere that he is the biological father of. So they pair up in terms of caring for the babies and feeding them. But when it comes to the naughty times leading up, they all sleep around. But not
really
these guys.
funny.
Not these guys.
That's cute though. It's like the community raising kids. That's actually really, really touching.
It is. The thing is, they also know who they're related to, and they say it's almost entirely based off of their singing and their calls that they make to each other, and they have family languages. So often the helpers might be, maybe this two has some babies, and then the next year they're helping somebody else out. And then the third year, they've got some helpers, where those helpers might be their own babies that they had 2 years ago. They might be helping out their little brothers and sisters or something like that. And they say that they've been able to track them, using banding and stuff and figure out who the helpers are and how to and they do find that close familial links are the ones most certain to be the helpers in there. So it's guys, such great family life. This is kind of amazing.
That is really sweet. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And a mating pair is only going to have 1 clutch of eggs per season, and it's going to be 2 to 5 eggs in that clutch.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is that small? Is that a small amount?
For a bird this size, that's maybe a little on the low side. A lot of small birds, some sparrows and finches will have 6 to 10. But 2 to 5 is pretty average across all of birds. Some big birds like storks and albatrosses have 1 at a time. Kiwis only have 1 at a time.
Wow.
But crows have 2 to 5. But
Okay.
a lot of the little birds, a lot of the little prey birds, they'll be all right, a dozen babies. And 2 months later, I'm going to have a dozen more because we're eaten by everything. And we just have to survive off of sheer numbers. But so these ones probably have fewer for a bird their size because of this communal raising. These birds are far more likely to make it to adulthood and survive than maybe a little finch out there that, doesn't have that family support.
Okay.
I do have a little video call one. You might want to watch the stream so you can hear it, but
Okay.
we got a bee eater video here. Little squeakers. Such little cuties.
They're fluffy.
They're so fluffy. I love their long, pointy beaks.
Yeah, those look effective. That's gonna catch them some bugs. I like the little squeak.
Yeah, he's so cute. All right. They should put those guys in front of the palace in London. I don't know about that. Yes, you're right, Hasio. It is very much like the sociable weaver. Sociable weaver is another bird that makes big communal nests. Now, these guys are, they're called a bee eater. So guess what? They're insectivorous. That is almost their entire diet is insects. Now, bees are their favorite, but, moths, flying ants, locusts, it's a bug. They're going to eat it. They're going to eat it. Delicious. So they are experts at what they call hawking. And hawking is when you capture a flying prey while you're in the air. So could be like a little bee zipping along, and they'll swoop down and they'll snag it right out of the air. However, they
Whoa.
also pretty good foragers. They will land on the ground or on trees and stuff, and get those little crawly boys too. So whatever they need to do, they're an expert at multiple different forms of hunting. Which is very, very cool. But yeah, they're called the bee eaters. They do love bees. And actually, there are beekeepers who do actually try and exterminate these guys when they're near their bees because they don't want their
Oh.
beehives. But that's pretty much the only instance. These guys aren't really hunted. I mean, why would you hunt a little bird like this? Well, I
Yeah.
suppose. Well, I bet you 100 years ago these guys were hunted for their feathers for fly fishing and fashion and stuff like that. But
They're pretty beautiful feathers.
most countries it's illegal to do that now because turns out that's a really bad thing to do. But you're
Yeah.
right. Their feathers are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at those greens and blues. And
Mhm.
their feathers are a combination of feather structure and pigments. So some of the feathers are colored through pigment, but some of those like greens on their backs, the shade of green and the way it reflects is going to look very different depending on what angle the light is hitting it. Very similar, you see all that stuff in like hummingbirds a lot. It's kind of like that iridescent, and it's really cool. So they have a combination of iridescence and pigmentation, which is pretty typical for a lot of birds. But I just think that's so cool. It's really hard to behold how beautiful these are in photos and images and videos. You gotta see them real life. So, it is kind of one thing that these guys do that you don't see a lot of other birds do is that when they eat a lot of insects, a lot of that chitin, which is like the hard exoskeleton, they don't really digest it. And so they cough up little pellets of chitin, little chitin pellets. It's pretty neat. But yeah, as you heard, they are phenomenal singers, and they do pretty much all their communication vocally. And yeah, they have really wide range. They're not quite parrot or lyrebird level, but they have quite complex songs and kind of their own little birdie language. Like I said, they're able to tell family apart based off of the calls they make, which is pretty cool.
Oh.
And their populations, I am happy to say, have been stable, and they face no real threats. So on the endangered species list, they are a species of least concern, which is what you want to be. You can't get any better than least concern. So we're gonna have these guys around for a long time.
Good.
So I love this picture so much.
Oh wow! Oh, the hummingbird. Oh, they posed for that. They were just like, hey, let's get together. Let's go catch that. We'll pose for this picture.
I mean, this is amazing. I almost wonder if this is a piece of taxidermy now that I'm looking at it.
Oh no!
It's almost too perfect. I'm gonna say it's not, and these are all white-fronted. That is, yeah, right. That is an album cover. That's amazing. But I mean, the bee eater, I didn't really know a lot about him before researching him this weekend, and these are one of my new favorite little birds. These guys are amazing. Like,
they have a lot of personality. I like a lot of things. I really love the family thing, the community. I've never heard of that before in like animals. Like, oh, that's why I think that like maybe monkeys do that, but not birds. I've never heard that for birds.
Well, you know what other bird lives in flocks of families and have members of the flock who are not the parents take care of their babies?
Who?
Crows.
Oh, do they really? Because I saw a crow when I first moved to my house. There was like an injured crow in our lawn, and I'm pretty sure their family like abandoned them, and we were really sad about it.
Aww.
It flew away eventually, though, but still.
Yeah, most corvids live in family units where like siblings will help raise their younger children. You also see that in like penguins. The sociable weaver is a good example of it. There's plenty of birds, but yes, it's also not uncommon for a lot of birds to just be like, we're gonna live in flocks in winter. We're gonna pair up during the breeding season. Otherwise, we're just gonna do our own thing. These guys, colonies, family, we love it. They're beautiful. They take care of each other. They just and they can't keep the fly population in check.
There you go. Oh yeah. Now get on spiders. Do spiders next to
yeah, not a fan of spiders.
No.
All right. Well, I think we can both say that this is a Well, not top tier bird. Only corvids are top tier birds. But next down from that tier birds, an A tier bird. We love them. I really got nothing negative to say about these guys. I love the bee eater. I guess maybe, I mean, bees are my favorite insect, and the bees are very important. But I'm pretty sure that habitat loss and pesticides are a far bigger threat to bees than these guys ever could be.
That tracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these guys they only live in one part of the world. Like, bees everywhere.
There are bees everywhere. And there are birds everywhere. Every continent has birds. Antarctica doesn't have many, but dang it, they got some. Whoa! Whoa!
I know, yeah, my tracking like keeps dying. I keep having to restart it.
All right, well, we're going to head back to the studio and call this bird of the day done.